Austin live, joining us right here on the Fox Local app. You can also watch us on YouTube as well. Just go to Fox 7 Austin, hit that live tab. You can also watch old episodes as well. Obviously, we've got a lot to get to today. Unless you've been living under a rock, I'm sure many of you out there have seen the latest updates on the Nancy Guthrie case. Really a story that has gripped this nation. Millions of people refreshing their phones every single day wondering, where is this 84-year-old woman, the mother of Today's Show co-host Savannah Guthrie? Obviously, because of her position and her being famous and wealthy, this has gotten a lot of attention. It's gotten a lot of traction. But yesterday, I thought this thing was pretty dead in the water. Savannah Guthrie coming out with a video basically saying, hey, this is hours of desperation as they're about to hit that second deadline. This person wanted $6 million in a Bitcoin account. To our knowledge, to all the other sources, Fox, TMZ, NBC, that money had not been dropped in there. So we thought, okay, it looks like they don't have something here. And Savannah reaching out to you out there, the public, to say, hey, if anybody has seen or heard anything, we will take it. And then I don't want to say a shocking development, because we knew there was a possibility that this video was out there. Because right after this whole thing started, Pima County Sheriff Chris Nanos said there was a notification at the front door. At the time, we thought it was a Ring camera. Now we know it's a Nest camera. And that video had been lost because Nancy didn't have the paid subscription. But they were going to try and get this thing on the back end. They did. And today, right before I came in today, I'm driving into work. I get the push alert on my phone that they're about to release pictures, images here of a person of interest, a possible suspect. So I do want to bring up that picture right now, and this is what we got here from all of our Fox partners. So you can see this person right here in what appears to be a mask, one of those ski masks. I don't know if that's a light in their mouth there, and they're grabbing what appears to be some sort of rose bush, a plant of some sort, trying to cover up this Nest camera. As you can see, it is a Nest camera. And they've got this backpack on, and if you look down here, armed. That is a gun right there. A holster, it looks like, holding that gun. They've got gloves on, they've got a jacket, they've got a backpack as well. But as you can see, we don't get much from this. Maybe there's some facial hair here, maybe there's a mustache right on the upper lip there. The eyebrows, a lot of people were criticizing the eyebrows today, wondering, hey, is this a person that has thin eyebrows? We don't know the full picture of this, obviously, and this camera in night vision here. So then that's the first thing that comes out. And FBI Director Kash Patel, I believe, was the first one to put this out there, and this was at 11:52 a.m. Central Time here in Texas. And he says, quote, new images in the search for Nancy Guthrie. Over the last 8 days, the FBI and Pima County Sheriff's Department have been working closely with our private sector partners to continue to recover any images or video from Nancy Guthrie's home that may have been lost, corrupted, or inaccessible due to a variety of factors, including the removal of recording devices, which we know that recording device, that Nest device, was destroyed and removed. The video was recovered from residual data located in back-end systems. Working with our partners, as of this morning, law enforcement has uncovered these previously inaccessible new images showing an armed individual appearing to have tampered with the camera at Nancy Guthrie's front door the morning of her disappearance. This is around 2 a.m. on that day, last Sunday, obviously, Sunday before last. Anyone with information, please contact 1-800-CALL-FBI or visit tips.fbi.gov. So FBI Director Kash Patel coming out with these images today, these still images, and then right after this, because the first thing I said to myself was like, okay, they have these still images, but anyone that has one of these Ring or Nest cameras knows this thing is video and it's recording. And so I thought, are they going to release the video? And of course, they did. So we're going to go through this right now. I'm going to pull this up. This is the video that we have. I'll just have it on replay here. I'll try to show you it all. And as you can see, here is that person. They've got the gloves on, obviously trying to cover up their face here. Don't want to be seen. They then turn around, and as you can see there, they've got a backpack. That backpack definitely full, definitely packed there. And now they'll reach down and they grab what appears to be some sort of plant, flower, rose bush, I'm not sure. And then they try to cover up the camera, and it looks as though, right here, it looks as though they've got a flashlight of some sort in their mouth trying to look at this thing. Because watch, you'll see it trying to be covered up, and all of a sudden right there, you get a glimpse right there. There's that person in that ski mask. And now immediately some people online were saying, okay, does this look like Nancy Guthrie's son-in-law, the husband of Annie, her other daughter, Tommaso? Is this someone that family knows? Is this someone in the neighborhood? Is this a local person? Now, according to reports from TMZ, law enforcement, based on their sources, believe that this person has ties to Tucson, is from Tucson, which would make sense considering how would you know to go here? How would you know to do this? How would you know who Nancy Guthrie is? Obviously, someone maybe that believes she was an easy target. So the video continues here. This person trying to cover up this Nest camera. And then the video just sort of cuts out there. But as you can see, this person armed. Once again, I'll zoom in here. They come to that front door. They're wearing this ski mask here. They've got a backpack. They've got a jacket on. They've got gloves. And then right here, you can see the holster with the gun facing forward, which is interesting. You don't see that a lot, but a lot of people were commenting on the fact that this person doesn't seem to be exactly a professional, someone who's done this before, someone who's familiar with doing this. And so just the behavior seems as though they're sort of stumbling over themselves and nervous in the moment, and then they go back and grab a plant or shrubbery to try and cover this Nest camera. So if we've learned anything from this, even if you don't have that paid subscription, the powers that be here, the FBI coinciding with the private sector, obviously working with Google, who runs these Nest cameras, were able to go in, according to Kash Patel here, and basically go through back-end channels to try and get this. Back-end systems is what he called it specifically. So certainly an interesting development here. I want to say shocking, because he knew this video was possibly out there. We just didn't know when or if we were going to get it or if they were going to recover it. And they did. So this is a huge piece of information here, and an ability for law enforcement to put this out there now and say, is there anybody out there who knows this individual? Do they recognize the jacket? Do they recognize the backpack, his pants, his shoes? So many people today looking at, okay, what are these pants? What is this jacket? Could this be bought somewhere in Tucson? Is there a store that has this? What kind of shoes are those? What brand of shoes are those? Ton of information we're getting here. And something interesting I do want to point out is our very own reporter, Marco Bitnell, also spoke with an LAPD, a former lieutenant with them, who is familiar with this kind of activity, who is familiar with, over 30 years of experience in this field. And Marco was actually able to talk with him today, and that person was able to give him a lot of information in terms of what law enforcement is going to be able to grab from this, how this improves their investigation, the type of technology they're going to have, and what they can gather from all this video. So Marco will come on after our first break and explain that. We'll have sound from that LAPD former lieutenant as well. Just some really interesting stuff he had to say, basically saying, the FBI, they know what they're doing. They're the best at this. And for them to have this video now and be able to work with it could be a major breakthrough in this case going forward. But we'll hold off on that for now. I do want to point out as well that because of this case having so much traction, getting so much publicity, that the White House also briefing on this. So Caroline Leavitt spoke earlier today. I do want to pull this up. And here she was at the White House press briefing. We've heard President Trump talk about this case and saying he respects Savannah and hopes that Nancy gets returned home safely. And for her to come out here and speak today just goes to show you how much attention is here.
With the president, he and I were both reviewing the newly released surveillance footage from FBI in the Savannah Guthrie case on just this heartbreaking situation with respect to her mother. The president encourages any American across the country with any knowledge of the suspect to please call the FBI, who continue to assist state and local authorities who are leading this investigation on the ground. And once again, I will reiterate that the prayers of this entire White House are with Savannah and her family at this time. And we hope this person is found soon and that her mother is brought home safely.
So that was Caroline Leavitt there talking, the White House press secretary. And she's going to get asked a couple questions here as well, so I will pull that up as well. Certainly, like I said, this is a national story here, and the White House the White House having this briefing today and being asked questions about this. Here's White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt on the Nancy Guthrie case.
Specifically about the second point on whether the suspect acted alone or not. So I don't want to weigh in on the president's thinking on that. His initial reaction, of course, as all Americans, is just pure disgust. And again, it's heartbreaking to see now this footage really bring to life a story we've all been reading about. And again, we're just praying for the safety of Nancy Guthrie and that she will return home soon. And the president directed me to please encourage all Americans with any information to call the FBI. And we hope that this case will come to a positive resolution as soon as possible.
So once again, that was the White House press briefing. Caroline Leavitt, the White House press secretary, talking about this Nancy Guthrie case. Obviously, if you're not familiar with this case, the 84-year-old went missing almost 10 days ago. That's how long it has been, and we have been following this since then. At the very beginning, not a lot of information. We saw the Pima County Sheriff, Chris Nanos, coming out, holding these press briefings, and really not having any answers. He was under a lot of scrutiny. There was a lot of people questioning, was the Pima County Sheriff's Department capable of handling something like this? Obviously, a huge help to have the FBI come in and really take this thing head on. There was an interesting report last night, right after we finished the show as well. And as soon as I got home, I did update, some people on social media about it. And basically what we had gathered, what Fox News had gathered through sources, was that according to law enforcement, that there was delays in terms of getting the information to the FBI from local law enforcement, which certainly raised some eyebrows. We also saw the Pima County Sheriff, Chris Nanos, going to a University of Arizona basketball game, which a lot of people thought, okay, I understand you still got to live your life and do your thing, but while this case has such a high profile and is so, scrutinized, every little thing they do is picked apart. For him to show up at a game like that, not a great look. And then we also were getting information that Nancy Guthrie, since the COVID pandemic, was not actually going to a physical church in Tucson. Instead, she was meeting up with a small group of friends, and they would meet up, so she would go to that friend's house, and they would live stream a church service in New York. And you might be questioning, okay, why would they do that? Well, Savannah Guthrie, her daughter, obviously the co-host of the Today Show, NBC Studios out there in New York, that is Savannah's church. And so Nancy and her friends every week would meet up together. These are older women, obviously. Nancy, 84 years old. From our understanding, she's not really able to move around that well. She has a pacemaker. She has medication. She has physical maladies, if you will. And so they would go and meet up. So we were told that the reason this whole thing got tipped off is not because she didn't show up at a physical church. It's because she didn't show up at her friend's house, who was the host, in order for them to watch this live stream. So that information came in around 8:30, 9 o'clock last night, local time. And so that certainly raised some eyebrows, and I thought, okay, a lot of people started questioning things. Why is the Pima County Sheriff's Department not relaying this information to the FBI? Why didn't the FBI get involved sooner? Where is Chris Nanos? Why are there no press briefings? I will tell you, even after all this information got released today, typically when you have information like this, you'll hold a press briefing and you'll reveal it there. They didn't do that in this situation. And I think the main part is because the FBI really wants to take control of this thing. And I think Chris Nanos understands that he's going to be asked about himself going to that basketball game. Now, whether or not that affects the investigation, I don't know. It probably doesn't in the grand scheme of things, but he's going to be asked about that. So the Pima County Sheriff's Department came out and said, hey, look, we're not doing any one-on-one interviews with Nanos. We're not having any press briefings. And then after all of this information gets released, and we have this video, and we have these still images, and I'll pull up the still images again. After we have all this information that's out there, a couple hours later, while media is still gathering there, the Pima County Sheriff's Department has to put out a tweet saying, please do not order food here. This is an active crime scene. And we saw what appears to be a pizza delivery driver trying to get into the home. I don't know who to deliver the pizza to, but just another weird thing involved in this. So a lot of information. We have national media out there, Fox News, CNN, NBC, and then you've got all the local stations out there as well. It is just a story that has just not stopped. And so obviously it seems to get weirder and weirder in some people's eyes, obviously, but today, a huge, I would call it a breakthrough just because they were able to retrieve this in a situation we didn't think was possible. So we'll continue to talk about this. I will tell you, we're going to bring in Marco Bitnell after the commercial break, and he's going to explain to us a great conversation he had with that former LAPD lieutenant. Really interesting stuff regarding this video, and we're going to break that all down. So don't go anywhere. We'll have more right here, Austin Live, on the Fox Local app. All right, let's do this. Oh. Welcome back into Austin Live right here on the Fox Local app, bringing in our very own Marco Bitnell. And with a story like this, Marco, obviously it's a national story, but we figured, hey, let's just take this thing head on. Let's try to get some of our own information rather than whatever's out there in the national media. And so you were able to talk with someone who knows a thing or two about a case like this and really grab some great information.
Yeah, I mean, thing or two, a little bit of an understatement. We talked to a man by the name of Jeff Wenninger. He was an LAPD detective for over 30 years, worked in their critical incidents department, so that's everything from homicide to shootings to, you know, potential incidents like we're seeing like this. So this is a guy that is very well versed in these kind of incidents. And I know, Alec, you kind of walked through a little bit of that interview earlier, but just some great sound bites, some great insight into, you know, the minds of law enforcement right now, and especially with this breakthrough in this new video. I mean, there's just so many different potential outcomes that we could see from this, and new, you know, details that we have to delve into, and he did a great job of explaining all that to us.
I will hold you there as we're looking up on the monitors here. There is some activity here. I do want to take you guys. This is outside. It was outside Nancy Guthrie's home. This is our Fox cameras out there. And it looks like, if I'm not mistaken, are those federal agents or local agents?
I'm trying to read the what's on the back of his vest right there. I can't see the monitors.
I'm not quite sure, but we've had cameras. I mean, as you can see on this other camera here, this is right outside Nancy Guthrie's home.
And if you go back to FS1,
let's go back to FS1 here.
Got a sheriff's vest on right there that we can see it right now, as well as, does that say FBI as well? So
yeah, so it looks
some
like
local as well as federal agents on the scene over there.
And over the last couple of days too, and we saw this over the weekend, is that the Fox flight team had a helicopter going over. You could see federal agents, local agents as well in there, going through what appeared to be the septic tank, poking and prodding around, and people wondering, are they looking for a body? Are they looking for evidence that was perhaps flushed somewhere? What's going on? Was there anything that was found? We don't know anything from that, but this is the most movement that I've seen, because yesterday we had the camera outside right here, and this truck and this house, and there was nothing. There was no movement. Today, obviously, a big change after that video got released. I don't know if there's anything else. Jonathan Hunt is waiting by as well. If we see him at all going live, he's been covering this thing since the very beginning for Fox News, but I don't know if we'll be able to hear from him. But as Marco mentioned, it looks like we've got a mix there of federal and local law enforcement as this thing just, I mean, it's just a web that keeps going, Marco.
I mean, yeah, and it's not really surprising. I mean, I'm talking to this detective or this lieutenant today. He says that these videos and these images are breathing new life into this case, and that there's a whole new world to uncover. So, I mean, seeing those officials outside the house, I mean, not really surprised, definitely, with all that we're seeing today, you know?
Yeah, let's go look at part of Marco's interview here. This will be part of his bigger story that you can watch at 9 o'clock, but I do want to show you, this was, to me, sort of like the general sense of what we're gathering from this video that was released of this possible suspect in the Nancy Guthrie case. So we'll listen in to the conversation that Marco had here. It's about a minute and a half, and then we'll discuss it on the back end.
Seeing this footage, I mean, what are they probably most interested in, in seeing right now from this footage?
Well, this footage is actually quite good. It's very clear, and it's going to provide, because of the technology we have today, all kinds of investigative opportunities. Most significantly, you have biometrics, where although he's wearing a face covering, you may be able to determine and establish some type of profile and have some type of facial features that you'll be able to work with in order to better determine who this individual is. You're also going to be able to easily determine the height and the weight of the individual, as well as the make and model of the shoes, the handgun, perhaps the sweatshirt, the backpack, all of those things. We also had the opportunity to watch him walk, so you're getting an opportunity to see what his gait looks like. So really, it's really important relative to the investigative things that you can do with all of the technology, which, listen, with the FBI there, they have everything. They're the best of the best. They have the best ability to do the forensic analysis on this type of evidence that's going to break this case. But also, just as important, is the crowdsourcing, where people have now seeing this individual, and it gives them some context on what they need to be looking for.
There we go. That was part of the interview that Marco did with former LAPD Lieutenant Jeff Wenninger. Wenninger, is that how you say it?
Wenninger, yeah.
Wenninger. And so obviously what he was saying there is, Marco asked him, okay, now that we have this video, now that the FBI has this video, what do they gain from it? And basically what he was telling you is, hey, they can get biometrics, height, the size of this person, how old they are maybe, and I don't know, just there's a lot that they can grab here because of what they've gathered.
I mean, the list goes on and on.
Yeah.
I mean, you can look just from the facial recognition technology that we have nowadays. I mean, he basically says the FBI has it. This isn't something that we're talking about, some science fiction. No, even though this person is wearing a mask, just from their eyes alone and from what we can see, even with a little bit of facial hair, he says that the FBI has that technology, and he basically says if there's anybody that's going to get it done, it's going to be the FBI.
It's going to be the FBI.
The means to do it, and beyond just that facial recognition, we have the backpack, we have the handgun, we have the clothes that he's wearing, we have all of these things that could potentially lead to further development. So they said this list, basically it just keeps on coming. So I mean, there's so much to unpack in just a short amount of video.
I also want to show another soundbite here as well, because in talking about that technology, and you actually came up to my desk right after, and he was like, hey, he says they had this video. Doesn't know how many hours or days before, we don't know, assume, but he's like, look, they had this thing before they released it to the public. And I still find it interesting because yesterday we showed Savannah Guthrie. It was like this cry for help, hours of desperation, she called it. The deadline had passed, and so we thought, what does that mean now for 84-year-old Nancy Guthrie? Nothing has happened. The Bitcoin has not been exchanged to our knowledge. So this is Weninger here talking about the technology that the FBI has and basically what that means moving forward. So we'll listen in here.
The technology exists, and the FBI has that technology. And really, from this point forward, what I believe is going to occur is this suspect is now in a panic mode. And when suspects begin to panic, that's when they start to make mistakes. And we're going to see some mistakes that are made moving forward that are going to further assist the investigation in breaking this, so that hopefully Miss Guthrie can be brought home safely, and ultimately the suspect is held to the fullest extent of the law.
All right, so that's Weninger there talking about saying, hey, the FBI has the technology to get this type of, whether it be facial recognition, the biometrics, but something else he said was, now that this video is out, this person, whoever they may be, have hit the panic button.
Yeah, they're basically saying when you get to this point into an investigation where you have such concrete evidence like this, it's when you're going to start seeing the most mistakes. And that's why Jeff Weninger, this lieutenant, was just so confident that this, he kept on telling me during this interview, he said, I think this is going to lead to an arrest of some sort, that this could be something that really pulls this case together and we could finally have a suspect, in their hands, you know what I mean? So he says that now that this person is being seen by millions across the country, across the world, might start getting to them a little bit, might start getting in their head. They could start overthinking things or not thinking about things enough through to where we start seeing those mistakes that could potentially lead to a mistake on their end.
Yeah, it's as we're watching all this, we got a bunch of movement now on the cameras here, and I do want to take you guys back to Tucson, Arizona. This is, we believe, right outside near where Nancy Guthrie lives. We've got a couple of shots. This is right outside. So we got investigators, it looks like, going door to door here. We were told they were going door to door before in Annie Guthrie's neighborhood, who is the sister of Savannah. And a lot of people over the last couple of days have said, hey, where is Annie Guthrie and her husband Tommaso in all this? And we've seen some people even say, are they involved? And there's been suspicion. So we don't know who they're talking to right here. There's a couple of dogs there. Those are not dogs that are working with the federal agents there. These just appear to be a residence dogs as well. But we've got agents going door to door asking questions, because now that this video is out, Marco, and these still images, they're going door to door saying, hey, have you seen this person? Do you know this person?
Well, that's also what this lieutenant was telling us as well, is beyond just, yes, the technology it can use for facial recognition, but the crowdsourcing for this is going to be just as important, and that having this, even just this glimpse of this face out there, just seeing the eyes alone could be enough for someone to be like, this looks, eerily similar to someone that I think, could be involved in this in some way. And you mentioned, Annie and her husband, we already started seeing that on X of people comparing, their
the
eyes,
facial hair and the
eyes,
eyes,
to this picture that we're seeing online. So that speculation has, already been starting, and I think, that's why we might be seeing this door to door now. It's like you were saying, okay, have you seen anyone that even remotely looks like this person?
Well, and it's also interesting too, because of the health problems with Nancy Guthrie. This person that's going in there either has to have known her before, known her health issues. If you're going to go in there, disconnect this pacemaker, or try to keep this woman alive for a ransom, it would be safe to assume that you better know what you're getting into with a person like this, 84 years old. Now, another theory that's been thrown around is, was this a possible kidnapping? They didn't want to actually hurt her. And in the middle of all of this, and you and I talked about this earlier, does this unfortunately end in her dying because of an accident? Or because of something, and I don't want to speculate on all that, but those are the questions that have been swirling around here.
And you mentioned it being someone that they, that she possibly knew, and that could very likely be the case. I mean, once again, bringing up the lieutenant, he said statistically, looking back on these on cases like this, it is statistically always, or not always, but it's very likely that it's someone that the victim knows, and that doesn't mean it's a family member, but it could be. He mentions it could be someone that works in their home. It could be someone that lives in their neighborhood. They went to church with. Someone just in their circle that is familiar with their way of life, their habits, how they have to operate. And so that's why we also mentioned, I mean, they started taking DNA of, the people that worked in their home, of the pool boy, of the, people doing landscape, things like that. I mean, it's just because now you have to start, eliminating all of these people that at least knew her way of life and were involved enough to know how she lived.
Yeah, we're seeing people here on our live thread say that the Bitcoin was transferred. I don't see anything of that nature. Obviously, if this does happen, and we will update you guys, but we've really been following anything from Fox News or TMZ, obviously TMZ a property of Fox, but they've really been at the forefront of this, and unless they change their story on that, I don't see anything with the money being transferred. In terms of the people on here asking what we're looking at, so we've got an audience here on TikTok, and we've got you guys out there. We're looking at live cameras right now in Tucson. It looks like they've gone to a neighbor of Nancy Guthrie. She's got 2 dogs there, and they just went to a shed, Marco. Did you see that?
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of a weird interaction right there. Now they're leaving the property as well. They met this person on their property. Now they're walking away with these dogs, walking down the street. So you kind of have to wonder what that interaction was like, and
I don't understand
why they're leaving the property now.
Well, and something else somebody pointed out too, and I'm sure you and I have talked about it a little bit, but this person was wearing a jacket, they've got thick gloves on, and another thought was, does this person, go through with the crime and then start to shed clothing and have sort of another change of clothes under there? And so in this process, are they discarding of this stuff in other parts of the neighborhood? I mean, we've heard this many times. It is pitch black dark out there at night.
And you can already start to see it.
Yeah, you can see. It's hard to see. I believe on the night of this incident on February 1st, there was a full moon. And even then, very difficult to see because there's just no light pollution out there. It's a very quiet neighborhood, as you guys can see. But we've got live cameras out there right now with our Fox crew. I give major credit to this photographer here who has been following what appears to be a mix of federal and or local law enforcement. And man, has this thing really picked up steam in the last 12 hours or so. We'll continue to keep an eye on this. But is there anything else that Wenninger said to you in your interview with him that made you kind of perk your ears up a little bit?
Yeah, I mean, talking about the behavior of the suspects in that video, I mean, it's so weird, right? I mean, it's so peculiar. They come up to, this doorbell camera. They try to almost just rub the camera with their gloves, thinking that's going to do something. And then you go and see them pick up that plant and, just kind of really haphazardly cover the camera right there. I mean, and talking to Wenninger, he says, based off his years of experience, he says that, like, in his words, it doesn't strike him as a sophisticated person.
No.
And so he says, looking at this, it doesn't seem like there was much thought, there was much planning before this person, decided to go up to that doorbell camera. And I think we can kind of all agree with that. I mean, for all you at home that watch that, that doorbell footage, I mean, it doesn't seem that someone that has done this before, that has experience in doing this kind of stuff before. It just seems like someone in the heat of the moment went up to this camera and just,
and went, oh no, there's a Nest camera. Let me grab a rose bush and put it over the top of it. It's just very odd. I know you have to go. You've got to finish your story, but we appreciate the insight, obviously, from Wenninger there, and he will have that full story coming up at 9 o'clock. You don't want to miss that because I think there's some really great insight in there from that former LAP lieutenant. So we appreciate it, Marco. Of course,
always.
You're always on top of it.
I know. I try.
We are going to take a break. When we come back, I'm going to keep these cameras going. So I don't know if we're going to move off this story, but I do want to get into some Epstein stuff as well. If we have time, you're watching Austin Live on the Fox Local app. Good stuff, Marco. All right, welcome back to Austin Live right here on the Fox Local app. We just heard from our very own reporter, Marco Bittenel, who does a great job of finding great sources who can give us more information on cases like this. Obviously, this is the story that's being talked about everywhere. 84-year-old Nancy Guthrie. You can come in, Marco. Oh, he's got to grab some stuff. It's okay. Live television. But as Marco was explaining there, obviously with this video being released, and I'll show it to you guys again, this video being released of this possible suspect here, obviously it's going to get a lot of eyeballs, as it has already. Millions and millions of people wondering about this. But I think what's interesting to note is that they took still images. We got those still images first, which I think was smart. Rather than release the video and have a bunch of us create those screenshots, they took the screenshots first. They put those out there to help get an identification, and then they released the video. Because as soon as the still images were released, I was thinking to myself, okay, why wouldn't they just release the video? There's a Nest camera, right? Well, it all made sense to me in the end. So I do want to pull that up again. This is a video that's been played millions of times today. And obviously, this person is armed, which I think is super interesting.
That's very familiar with...
you guys can probably hear Laura Ingram there. Hold on. I don't want to bring this up just yet. But something to note, and this is from Fox News, TMZ founder Harvey Levin is reporting that there is activity in a Bitcoin account tied to the alleged Guthrie ransom note. I don't know if there's been what kind of money we're talking about here. That's just an update I'm getting as we're trying to look at all this. But I do want to pull back up now the video of the suspect, possible suspect, I should say, person of interest, if you will. So here's that new video released. As you can see, this person, you'll see it, is armed. They do have what appears to be a handgun in a holster there. They've got a backpack that is full. And then it seems as though they're surprised that there's this Nest camera, and they start to panic a little bit, stumbling over themselves almost. I mean, this person is not very precise in their movements. They don't look professional. It doesn't look like they've done this before. I mean, it's kind of pathetic, to be quite honest with you. And then they've got the flashlight, what looks like in their mouth, to try and see what's going on. As we know, it's very dark out there. And it's just odd. We don't have much from it. But I'll keep replaying. As you can see, there's the gun right there. There's the gun. And then that person puts his I would think it's a man. Safe to say it's a man. Puts the glove up there to try and obscure the camera, block their face. And we've seen some still images from this, some screenshots of this. FBI Director Kash Patel putting it out there. And then this person goes out there and goes, okay, what can I do to block this camera? Let me yank this bush here and try and put that up, which they try and do. And once again, we were told that there was activity, that this camera picked up movement. But they weren't able to get it at first because there was not a paid subscription for Nancy Guthrie. So they had to go through back-end systems, according to FBI Director Kash Patel. Back-end systems. Yeah, this person says here. Once again, if you're just joining us right here on the Fox Local app, Austin Live, 6:30 to 7:30. We got about 20 minutes left. We've got our audience here on TikTok Live as well. We appreciate all of them. If you want to watch us there as well, Alec on Fox 7. If you want to watch us with more video components, you can also watch us on the Fox Local app. But we certainly appreciate everybody that's joined. Once again, let us know where you're watching from. If you have questions, I'll try to answer them as best I can. And actually, we're going to take a break just so I can try to answer some of these questions here. But yeah, we've got eyeballs once again. That's outside Nancy Guthrie's house. That camera has not moved. We did see about 10 minutes ago there was movement. It would appear to be law enforcement going door to door. They went up to a person that had dogs, and then they went into what looked like a shed in that person's backyard. My first thought was, okay, did they think that the person who committed this crime, did they leave with Nancy? Did they start throwing off clothes? Did they throw off the jacket, the ski mask, the gloves? Is there anything they can grab that has DNA on it? We don't know. There's a car outside. I don't know if that's law enforcement, but that's outside Nancy Guthrie's home. Once again, we're going to take a quick break here. When we come back, we'll try to wrap this up. And if I have time, I will get into the latest with that Bitcoin account, as well as Secretary Letnick talking to the Senate hearing today, being asked about Jeffrey Epstein and his previous relationship with him. We'll be right back. You're watching Austin Live on the Fox Local app. Nancy Guthrie thing, I got to talk about something here locally. Hold on. Welcome back to Austin Live here on the Fox Local app. Got about 15 minutes left in the show. We've basically been total coverage here of the latest on the Nancy Guthrie case. The 84-year-old mother of Today Show host Savannah Guthrie, who has been missing for going on 10 days now. Now, before we get back into that, I do have some local updates here. According to the Lago Vista Police Department, they are on the scene in the area of American Drive and Santa Rosa Avenue. Residents in the immediate area have been advised to shelter in place. Please remain inside your home until further notice. Please avoid the area and do not attempt to come out to observe activity. They say unless you have an emergency, please do not contact the police department at this time to inquire about the situation. Our officers, along with the Travis County Sheriff's Office, are actively working an ongoing incident. According to those sources, according to our newsroom here, a subject barricaded, so barricading themselves, I believe. So that's the situation, but there is a shelter in place there. This is in the area of American Drive and Santa Rosa Avenue. This information coming from the Lago Vista Police Department. So we'll continue to update you guys that on our website. You go to fox7austin.com to get any updates there. If I get any updates here, I will certainly let you guys know. But we're trying to keep a pulse on this as best as we can. They caught her. I don't know what this person is saying. I can get my internet back up. All right, we're going to take one final break, and when we come back, we'll try to wrap up all the information that we have here, and I will give you guys an update if we hear anything regarding this police activity out in Lago Vista. You're watching Austin Live on the Fox Local app. Welcome back into Austin Live right here on the Fox Local app. You can also join us if you're a YouTube person. Go on YouTube, go to Fox 7 Austin, hit that live tab. You can watch us there, and you can also watch old episodes as well. And so if you don't have time for it, you can go back on there, rewatch us as well. We've also got a simulcast here that we've done over the last couple of days with TikTok, which has been really fun, more interactive. So if you want to engage in both ways, you can do that. We had Marco Bittnell on, who was giving us some great inside information from a former LAPD lieutenant. A really great interview. He's going to have that story coming up in our 9 o'clock news. You won't want to miss it there, because that's just really, you want to hear from the experts on this. And so there's been a lot of speculation, obviously with AI and with Photoshop and with everybody's ability to take the video or the pictures and do what they can with them and mess with them. It's really great to have an expert, a law enforcement expert, come in and say, hey, here's what I know, here's how it's done, here's what they're gathering from this. And I think the most interesting part, and Marco asked him about this, was about the video. And so it makes you wonder, okay, we're in day 9 of this, day 10. Did they have this video before? Because we were initially told the video was gone because they didn't have the paid subscription, and so see you later. But they were able to work with Google and Nest to go through back-end systems, according to FBI Director Kash Patel, and recover this video that we now have. And it's a super clear video. And so you can gather a lot from that. Obviously, the person's wearing a ski mask, and they've got a gun in a holster. They've got a backpack, which appears to be totally full. And then they see the camera, and they're like, oh no, what do I do? And they go and they grab what appears to be a bush, or like a rose bush, and try and cover it up there. Just sort of odd. Doesn't look like somebody who knows what they're doing, who is a professional. And we have gotten updates per TMZ, according to Harvey Levin, reporting that there may be activity in that Bitcoin account that would have been tied to the alleged ransom note. So TMZ has really been at the forefront of this thing. I have found it interesting that if there are captors out there, if they are trying to get a ransom, why not go directly to NBC, where Savannah Guthrie works, and try to do it through there? Maybe they just figure this is more of TMZ's alley. I'm not quite sure. But TMZ is able to dig up a lot of stuff a lot of the time that others cannot, and can break news in a situation like this. And so Harvey Levin has been on every single day talking about this. I mean, they have received ransom notes. The local stations in Tucson have received ransom notes. I do want to go back out live to that image we have outside of Nancy Guthrie's home. No activity. We did see about 30 minutes ago, there were law enforcement walking around the neighborhood, speaking with what appeared to be neighbors. They did stop one person's house, and that person had 2 dogs. Looked like they were taking them for a walk, and they said, hey, can we talk to you for a second? We weren't able to hear anything. And then you see them go around the other side of the house, and it looks like they're looking in a shed. And something that Marco and I talked about perhaps is when you've got someone that's wearing this big jacket, they've got the ski mask, they've got the gloves, once they do what they believe they need to do, are they now discarding clothes so they look different, or they've gotten rid of what that evidence is, to try and go on and move forward with it? But as Jeff Wenninger told Marco, the former LAPD lieutenant, now that this video is out, now that this has been exposed and millions of people are watching it all around the world, this person is probably hitting the panic button. They have gone into panic mode, and he believes once that happens, that's when mistakes start to get made. Whether or not that happens remains to be seen, but we're certainly keeping an eye on it. You can see now there's some movement. Saw some cars go by. Once again, this is outside of Nancy Guthrie's home. We have seen reporters out there. We have seen law enforcement out there. Everybody has been in and out of there. Our Fox, people have been out there. This camera has been there every single day. We've been able to, grab a picture of it, which has been super helpful just to see if there is any movement. But as far as we know, this is just the scene. It looks pretty quiet at this time. There was an interesting story that came out earlier, too, rather odd. And, of course, with something like this, when you've got so many eyeballs, there's so many people with their phones and able to capture sort of these moments. Doesn't mean they don't happen at other crime scenes, but, of course, when you've got that many people, I think the odds just go up. But it looked like there was a pizza delivery driver that came in, tried to enter the house. Obviously, that person turned away. So then the Pima County Sheriff's Department has to send out a tweet and say, hey, I can't believe we actually have to tell you guys this, but you can't be doing this. This is an active crime scene. Don't be ordering pizza here to the house. So it may have been, meant for a member of the media. I can tell you I've been on a lot of stories, and you just don't really eat sometimes. You just keep doing what you have to do and let the adrenaline and your stress and all that just kind of take over. Maybe get a protein bar, but ordering a pizza, that was rather odd. Maybe it was for law enforcement. I don't know. But the Pima County Sheriff's Office came out and said, hey, we don't need this. Once again, I'll show you guys the video of the suspect. This is just the raw video. Maybe this will be easier for you guys to see. But here it is. As you can see, they try to put their hand up there. They've got gloves on. Looks like leather gloves. And then they're trying to cover up their face. They've got the ski mask. They've got that backpack. We've had so many people on here ask, what's in the backpack? I don't know. It looks full, though. Someone here on TikTok asking about the pizza part. There was a pizza trying to be delivered today to the crime scene. And the Pima County Sheriff's Department had to say, what are you doing? You can't be doing this. Yeah, so this is that video. Someone asking here about SWAT. I can pull that up. We did see some videos from Fox Crime, who's been really good at following up on this. I'll try to pull that up now. And there's just been so many people. Oh, wow. So this is new info. Can confirm there is activity in that Bitcoin account, but it looks like the activity is less than $300. So obviously that's a far, far way off from the $6 million that was reported. So I'm not quite sure. And then FBI Director Kash Patel put this out about an hour ago. Said, thanks to our FBI Phoenix and Tucson team for working 24/7. See the FBI Director Kash Patel obviously very involved today. The one releasing those images of the alleged captor, the video as well that they got from that Google Nest camera. Crazy stuff, crazy stuff. Like I said, got a lot of people asking about the SWAT situation. I was wondering the same thing. I thought, what does this mean? All right, here we go. I'm trying to pull this up. Here we go. So this was about 2 hours ago. 2 SWAT armored vehicles departed the Pima County Sheriff's parking lot, though it is unclear if the movement was related. Fox News observed deputies loading shields and other tactical gear, but then they updated that by quote tweeting their own. I should probably pull this up for you guys. And it says, breaking 2 SWAT armored vehicles departed the Pima County Sheriff's parking lot Tuesday evening. 2 sources tell Fox News Digital the SWAT rollout is related to the Nancy Guthrie case. It is unclear at this time where the SWAT vehicles went. So at first it was just like, hey, we see these 2 vehicles leaving. We don't know if there's any relation to the case, whether or not it involves Nancy Guthrie. They just were able to grab video of those armored vehicles leaving. And as something to note here, deputies loading shields and other tactical gear. They updated that just a little bit after and said, breaking 2 SWAT armored vehicles departed the Pima County Sheriff's parking lot. 2 sources tell Fox News Digital the SWAT rollout is related to the Nancy Guthrie case. It is unclear at this time where the SWAT vehicles went. We'll continue to go up here. As I said, you see people canvassing the area. We saw that on live video. We saw people going door to door. Fox News observed FBI agents conducting an on-foot sweep near Annie Guthrie's home. Many people have said, hey, what about her? And just to confirm that, as we had mentioned, and Marco got the push alert on his phone as well, as I'm sure many of you out there did, breaking TMZ's Harvey Levin says that within the last 15 minutes, this was at 6:42 p.m. our time, TMZ's Harvey Levin says that within the last 15 minutes, there has been, quote, activity in the Bitcoin account referenced in the alleged ransom note connected to Nancy Guthrie, which, of course, TMZ previously obtained. So that can be confirmed. That is according to TMZ's Harvey Levin. And then we've got Jason Pack here telling a retired FBI agent. And so much of this has been relying upon people like this, saying that these are not a coincidence with SWAT. So obviously a story that has gripped the nation here. So many of you out there curious about it. We appreciate everyone on here on social media. You continue to follow us there. Fox 7 Austin, Alec on Fox 7 as well. And then you can also follow us on YouTube and the Fox Local app. We'll continue to follow this story tomorrow. Have a great night.